Okay, so I finally figured out what I actually wanted to do. So what I've managed to do is I have done a position absolute on them all. Well, it was working. Hang on, let's do block again. Let's refresh. Yeah, there we go. I did look a bit weird. So yeah, what you can now see is the different hovering images that are in its respective places. It seems I can concentrate better when I'm not recording and actually know what I'm doing, whereas when I'm actually recording, I kind of don't know what I'm doing. It's kind of weird. It obviously goes to show that I have the inability to do anything while recording. It's really quite remarkable how the brain works in that regard. Well, my brain specifically. Anyway, so given the fact that I spent most of the last half an hour not getting anywhere, I'm going to be pretty much editing most of what I've done out of this video by the end. So you'll probably see loads and loads and loads and loads of cuts in this video, just to warn you that well, I mean, I can't really pre-warn you because, you know, I've already probably edited it at this point in the video, but you know what I mean, right? Maybe not. Anyway, so what I've got here is this development. I probably don't need this now, now that I think about it. That was just sort of a solution. Actually, no, apparently I do need it. Okay, never mind. I guess because that's position absolute, and that a position absolute will not work unless it is encapsulated inside of a development inside of class col2. Yes, I know that's the annoyances of HTML, but again, what can you do, right? Anyway, so what I'm now going to do is I want to fade from the base image to the over image, right? So how do we do that? Well, what I'm going to do is I'm going to do this. So I'm going to copy this. I'm going to get hover. And then what I'm going to do is I want to select the over image, right? And then I want to do an animation. So I want to basically fade this in, right? So down here, oops, I'm going to type in a comment here, say animations. And what I'm going to do is there's a specific sort of meta keyword called keyframes, and this will allow us to create an animation. Now the animation, what shall I call it? I'm going to say fade in image, something like that. So that's going to be from 0 to an opacity of 1. Very simple. Now the only way that's going to work is if we go back here and we set this over image to opacity 0, because otherwise when we do display block it's not going to appear. What I'm also going to do is inside of here I'm going to say animation name. It's going to be fade in image, right? Let's say the duration, so we've got animation duration is 0.5 seconds, S for seconds, and finally the animation, actually no, I don't need any more of that. We just need to set the opacity to 1 because we want to keep the opacity. We don't want it to reset to 0, otherwise it will reset to 0 if we don't specify it here. And then we also want the display block as well, because otherwise it wouldn't appear. So if we were to hover over that, that's now fading in, right? So that looks much better than it feeling instant. Obviously, if I hover out of it, it's instantly going back to this. So how do we go about doing that? Well, we can just do the reverse, right? So all we need to do here is say, if we're no longer hovering, this needs to be like that. If we're no longer hovering over the first column 2, then we want to select this again, and we want to fade it out, right? And we're going to say 0 here and display none, right? So all I'm going to do is copy that, paste it below, and say fade out, opacity 1, opacity 0, right? So let's go ahead and test that. So we hover in. Oh, that's being instant. That's weird. Maybe if I get rid of that. No. Is it perhaps because we have our display block assigned to it? It could be the reason. Don't think we need to do that. Or do we? Huh. Display none. I mean, does it look like it's animating back? Doesn't look like it, does it? Let's increase the duration and see how that looks. So 2 seconds and 2 seconds, right? So it's animating in. No, it's not. So it's not quite working as we would have expected, which is a bit weird. Now we're assigning it. And then when we're no longer hovering over it, we want to fade out. If we do that, that's just going to mess things up. Curious indeed. We've got our opacity 1, right? Oh, maybe we don't need this, because we've already got that set here. Maybe. Nope. Nope. That's nope. Huh. Did I get the animation correct? Fade out image. Yes. Fade out image, fade out image. So we're going from an opacity of 1 from display block to opacity 0 and then display none, right? Well. It's weird that it's not working. I suppose that's alright, but I would prefer it to fade out, right? I would prefer it to fade out, but for now we'll leave it like this just for the time being until I can figure out why that's not working. I mean, it could just be me recording and not knowing what I'm doing again. That could be the reason. You never know. You never know. But that's all right, right? That's all right. Okay. So, I mean, what we could do is when we hover over it, just fade out the base image, right? So we could do that. Whoa. Okay, maybe not then. Probably not a good idea. That wasn't a good idea, clearly. That was a bit funny, to be fair. Anyway, so what we'll do is we'll apply this to all of them. So below this, we'll say 2, right, 3, and 4. Oh. I mean, it's fine for these, right? It's fine for these. But not fine for that. So yeah, we do kind of need to get rid of that. So I think what I'll do is instead of doing that display none, because obviously it's doing that and we don't want that. We'll do a visibility hidden. Yeah. So those are the cases where visibility hidden is actually the best way to go about things instead of using display block all the time, because as I mentioned earlier, display block affects the flow. Visibility hidden doesn't. Right. So I like that. That's cool. Okay, so let's move on to the next thing, which is going to be adding some text. Woohoo! Awesome, some text. Not really. So what I'll do is I'll put I'll call it news here, and down here what I'll say is a class button view all news or something, right? We'll make that a href as well, obviously. Might be a good idea. It's a news. And then view library. Let's do our clearfix thing. So we'll say div class clearfix. Make sure it renders properly. Oh, that's interesting. I wonder what I was doing that for. Huh. That's weird. I've never seen that before. That's not what clearfix does. This is Oh, pff. Of course. For some reason, it's... Hang on, let me show you. So for some reason, this nth child is picking up this, right? And it's trying to set the background image of the clearfix to the content, right? The timeline. And because it couldn't find it, what it ended up doing was it set nth child 4 to shop, and that's why it ended up over here. Why it did that, I have no idea. I'm pretty sure that's not right. But, again, that's the qualms of HTML. So annoying. Anyway. So if we apply clearfix, that's all good. Let's put all this here. So view timeline. And here, browse shop, should I say. And we will take a look at implementing something like Stripe, for example, into here as a tutorial as well. So we'll be making quite a few things here. So that looks good, but let's apply some styling. Let's apply some styling. So let's go back here. What I'm going to do is apply styling to our button, our image, which is this here, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to apply some padding. Let's say 8 pixels. What does that look like? Looks alright, doesn't it? 8 pixels. 12. 16. We're going to do display block so that the padding looks more like it's actually applying to the item. As I've said before, when we apply display block, it will cause the element to stretch across the maximum width of whatever it is contained in, right? As you can see. We will put a border around it. So we'll make a 1 pixel solid black border. Right. Now, this is important. I should probably specify this. So when you've got a column 2 with a float of left and width of height, any child elements immediate to this, if you apply padding or margin or anything of the sorts to any of its immediate children, it will cause the column, this column here, to stretch and cause a horizontal scroll bar, which is not good. What you want to do is make sure that whatever components that you want to put into column 2, that you apply the padding and margin to those components and not directly to column 2, right? So that's why we've got our button here with our border and padding, and it's not really affecting anything, right? If that makes sense. Okay. Let's get rid of the text decoration. We don't want the underline. And I want it color black. And let's make the font weight 600, so it's bold. Text align center. And the font size, it's already 16 pixels, let's say 22. We also want to change the font. So let's go up here, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to say body. So we want to apply a font to the entire document, and the font I'm going to use is Helvetica. I quite like Helvetica. Sounds, it's just a serif, isn't it? Have I spelled that correctly? Or is it sans serif? Oh no, this is font family, sorry. Duh. There we go. Right, so we set our font family and we set that to Helvetica. I think what we will do is put in the default size of 16 pixels anyway. I think that's a reasonable size. Cool. Okay then. So when we hover over these, we've still got our images. Those images do change. Now what I'd like to do now is I'm actually going to say border. Oh, actually, no, we don't want to apply it directly to every button. So what I want to do is say button nth child. Oops. Actually, no, it's not going to work, is it? No. What we want to do is call to nth child 1 button, right? And I want this applied to the second as well. So what I'm doing is actually no, not the second, sorry, the third. So what I'm doing is I'm selecting these two buttons here. And what I'm going to do here is I'm going to say border right is none, because I don't want that border there, because I'm going to apply it somewhere else. And we're going to do the same to the left hand buttons as well. So 2 and 4, right? I'm going to set border left is none. Okay. Where I'm now going to set this border is on this div here. Okay. So I'm going to say border. Oh. We have to do it this way. We have to do it this way. So nth child 1 div and the same to the third one. And we're going to say border. No, right. It's going to be 1 pixel solid black. Okay. So that will easily identify what is being separated, right? And what I'd like to do is apply some hovering styling here as well on these buttons. So let's go back down. And what I'm going to do is say dot button hover. I'm going to say the color is white and the background color is going to be black, like that. Now I like that. I do like that. I think that's good, don't you? It might just be my ego, but yeah, I like that. That is pretty good. I mean, the images could be better, but this is good. This is shaping up to be a sort of a better website than what I had before. Oh. Ah. Oh dear. Now, this is the problem when using the position absolute functionality. Because if you set the margin top and margin left, it's not actually going to work as you would expect it to. I mean, that works because we're actually causing the background image to disappear, but we're not doing it anywhere else. That's quite amusing. Just forget it for now. Let's come back to this at some other time. I think that's probably the best thing to do. So yeah, I mean, I've got pretty much what I want out of this almost, but it's not quite 100% as you can tell. It's doing that, which again, not exactly perfect, right? So yeah, I'm gonna stop here because I'm again going over an hour, and this is just becoming a tutorial that isn't a tutorial because I'm just blabbing and ranting and not really getting very far. Sure, I probably taught you a few things, but not so much that I actually knew what I was frickin' talking about. It can be one of those days, right? I can't even say my words right. R at the first letter, not the W. And also my grammar is terrible. Yeah, I've been talking for way too long. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed this rant, and I will see you next time.